Hi guys, my name's Autumn Holmes and I'll be doing my presentation on death and dying. So my research question is how can people cope with their emotional and psychological challenges of facing death or loss of a loved one? My purpose throughout this presentation is to explore healthy ways individuals can manage grief, find support, maintain well-being, mental well-being, or good mental health during a time of loss. And then my big question that I'll answer throughout are what are some emotional and psychological challenges faced throughout grief, so throughout the grieving process and maybe even after. Okay, my first slide is about understanding the emotional impact of death. Death can trigger strong emotions such as sadness, anger, guilt, fear, and denial. I'll get into that later as well. Grief is a natural response to loss and affects everyone differently. So, no matter the situation, no matter who you lost, everyone will experience grief differently. The emotional impact can also cause physical symptoms like fatigue, sleep problems, or loss of appetite. I'll also get into this later. But everything that I just mentioned is completely normal, and a lot of people might go through all of these things. Okay, my next slide is about psychological challenges. So, anxiety and depression are common after losing a loved one. I read about this a lot. It was one of the main things that was said in every single passage was anxiety, depression, sadness, anything along those lines. Almost every single person faces. Some people may experience complicated grief where emotions remain intense for a long period of time. I did read a little bit about this, and basically, what it's saying is the closer the person is to you, the harder the grief will be, most likely. Um, and that can cause intense grief for long periods of time. Next is accepting mortality can also cause extreme distress, like questioning your own life, your own purpose. So that's basically just getting together the idea in your head that you can't live forever, no one can live forever, your parents, your friends, that idea can really, really crush someone's self esteem. Okay, this slide is about losing yourself. So, whether that be you're going through a terminal illness, you know something's coming soon, just grief within yourself about yourself. So, grief can intensify symptoms like anxiety, depression, or emotional numbness, making coping more difficult. When someone is faced with the reality of their own death, they may experience a range of emotions such as fear, sadness, anger, or even acceptance. That's in the best cases. Um, the thought of losing control, leaving a loved ones behind, or facing the unknown can cause anxiety and depression. My dad is actually a chaplain at the VA, so he goes through a lot of this with the veterans. So they experience a lot of this. And then these on the right are physical effects. So this can be for yourself when you're losing yourself, like on the left, or even when you're losing a loved one. So this can happen in either situation. The pain of grief can also disrupt your physical health, making it difficult to sleep, eat, or even think straight. These are all normal reactions to loss. And the more significant the loss, the more intense your grief will be. Like I said earlier, I've read a lot about that, and it's really it's really hard because this can even happen to someone who is distant to you. So everyone's grief is differently. That's why the stats are really hard with this topic. Okay, next I have an example. It's about a terminal father and a daughter. I'll read it for you. And this is about emotional challenges. So, a daughter is caring for her elderly father who's been diagnosed with a terminal illness, meaning he's going to die soon in the future. Um, she feels torn between wanting to keep him alive as long as possible and respecting his wish to stop treatment and focus on comfort and care. As her father's condition declines, she experiences intense sadness, fear of losing him, and guilt or feeling exhausted and frustrated at times. So, all of these things that she has listed and have talked about in here are all normal. Every single thing, down to even being frustrated, it's all normal. So, a little explanation behind this. This situation shows the emotional conflict that family members often face, balancing love, acceptance, and grief while trying to make a difficult decision. So, for her, it's probably unplugging him from a lot of things, taking him home, allowing him to have his own wishes and to be in the comfort of his own home and around the people he loves. And then on her side, she wants to keep him alive as long as possible, obviously, because he's her father. So um, they may struggle with denial, guilt, or anger as they prepare to say goodbye to someone they deeply care about. So once again, it's all normal. Like I said, every single thing listed is normal, and most people will have to face at some point in their life. Okay, now I have coping strategies. So, talk about your feelings, share with trusted friends, families, or support groups. Next, I actually read about this one a lot, is seek professional help. So, therapists or grief counselors can also help you process emotions most of the times better than your friends, just because they have been studying this their whole lives, and obviously it's their job. So, I personally recommend that because I went to a grief counselor um, a little bit ago. So, next is practice self care, which, as I've read, has been the hardest one for people to maintain and keep up is themselves out of everyone. So that's eating well, resting, and engaging in activities that bring you peace, whether that be taking a walk in the park or playing a recreational sport or even just having a movie night with your friends. Like, those things should be done and will definitely help you along the grieving journey. Express emotions creatively. So that's like writing, painting, or keeping a journal. I find keeping a journal really interesting. You can go back and look, oh, how was I doing 2 months ago when I lost someone that I really cared about compared to how I am now? It's just a healthy reminder that if you keep going, it will get better, even if it doesn't feel like it within the first even 6 months of losing someone, even 3 years. Lastly, is allowing yourself to grieve. This is probably the hardest one for people to do, along with self care. Is healing takes time, and it's okay to not feel okay. I did not see this a lot actually in anything that I read, which I feel like it's really important. You don't have to put on a front for anyone. It's okay to feel the way you feel, no matter how you feel. Okay, and then on the right, I found some stats, and it was based on quizzes people took about losing loved ones. So in the blueprint at the bottom, I have the link to the stats. So here they are. After the death of a loved one, people are more likely to spend more time with others, which is 53%. They were also the group most likely to turn to religion or spiritual practice, which is 31% of the 53. I resonate with this a lot. I lost my best friend 5 years ago to suicide, and this is what I did. I went to my friend's house. I went out with my friends, like, to go get some coffee and like a snack, and I really, really found peace in this in playing volleyball. But this was the one thing I turned to was my friends, and they helped me so much. I can't thank them enough. But okay, then below. Both dealing with serious illness, 50%, and those who lost a relationship. So that's like breaking up with a significant other, like completely cutting ties, losing contact physically, emotionally, everything like that, which was 58%, found peace in music, found comfort in music. So, like I said, losing even a spouse, a divorce, a lot of those people, over half, actually found peace and comfort in music. And then lastly, people who lost a pet were least likely to seek or find help, with 21% saying they muddled through their own on their own. Among those who did have coping mechanisms, of the 21%, 37% were likely to focus more on work to get over their loss. So they would really hone in on like getting their work done, or like even for us, getting our schoolwork done and just like getting it all done out of the way. That seemed to help people as well. And then the 21% about the pet loss, I find that kind of sad, but a lot of people don't see it as big of a loss as a human, which I guess is normal. But those are some stats that I read and thought were really interesting. Okay, next, I have two graphs, chart sort of things. The first one on the left, what leads to grief? So, have you gone through any of these in the following past 3 years? So, I would just like you guys maybe to look at this and see what you guys think about it. But as obviously as it gets lower, the death gets more, I guess, intense. So, like, death of a child, horrible, 2%. That's awful. And then, obviously, at number one, death of a family member, a close one. These are just basically stats that, like, happen to people. So, like, 32% of people will face that. The bottom 2%, obviously. Um, Different causes, different effects. So, on the left, in the middle column, loss of a friendship or relationship. I just think you guys should look through this because it's actually crazy. And then the death of a loved one, I think it's really interesting that some on the left are higher than some on the right. That really surprised me. So yeah, I think you guys should look at that and tell me what you think about it. Okay. And then my conclusion. Grief is personal and ongoing. Coping involves understanding emotions, which is really hard, seeking support, also hard, and allowing healing to take place in its natural course. All is hard and all takes time. With compassion, connection, and time, people can adapt and find peace even after a profound loss. So basically, just keep going. It gets easier even though it doesn't feel like it. So, thank you guys for watching.